Hello and welcome to another episode of the E-commerce Coffee Break podcast. Today we want to touch on email marketing. We have spoken about email marketing in the past, but we want to look at it from a slightly different angle and see how merchants can get more out of it. With me on the show today, I have Nathan Abbott. He is the founder of growtrio.com. That's a six-figure marketing agency that works with businesses in the UK, US, and Asia. He has more than 10 years experience in strategy, consumer psychology, copywriting, and design, and he specialized in scaling e-commerce brands through enhanced lifestyle marketing, leveraging the power of email and SMS marketing. Before growtrio, he was a founding marketing member of NGX, a world's first genetically personalized nutrition business and e-commerce store. With his strategic marketing skills, he played a vital role in scaling the company's valuation from 1 million to more than 15 billion US dollars. So let's welcome Nathan to the show. Hey, Nathan, how are you today?
I'm very well. It's good to meet you, Klaus. I'm just glad to be on the podcast.
You're welcome. Nathan, we're both big fans of email marketing, and there's reasons for that. Tell me why you think email marketing is such an important marketing channel for merchants.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, email marketing remains one of the highest return on investment marketing channels of all of the marketing channels. I think the statistic is around like for every dollar that you invest, you get around $36 to $40 back. And the thing is that many brands tend to focus their priority on paid advertising, where actually the cost of acquisition on those ads are now increasing. Whereas the email element of things, that still changes. Email is still email. The conversion still seems to perform very well there. The cost of email marketing is not going up.
Very good point there. Now, email marketing, and you mentioned that before we started the call today, a lot of merchants use it in the wrong way. I think they just think about a one-way street, just get the word out and hopefully people buy. But there is a much broader aspect to it. Talk me through it.
Yeah, sure. So obviously, a lot of brands will have their campaigns that go out for their promotional calendar, and they'll be getting customers that come on board through their ad spend and through email marketing. But the thing is merchants spend a lot of time guessing what customers or their consumers want. And what I found through working with hundreds of e-commerce brands is actually when you change that into a two-way street, when you actually start asking your customers what they want or how they can improve, or even asking your list on the welcome flow, for example, if they haven't bought yet, you can frame questions on why. You can start to gather really valuable data that can inform your decision-making process moving forward, so that not only do you benefit your email marketing efforts, but you can still pull those insights into other marketing areas like your paid ads, like your website, to really refine that omni-channel experience of what you're selling to the customer.
Mm-hmm. I have the feeling a lot of merchants are just too shy to ask their customers, and I'm not sure what to ask and when to ask. So what would be a strategy to really, from the first point of contact, to ask people the questions that matter?
Sure, it's a great question. I think we have to keep email in mind as a very personal form of communication. I think a lot of merchants forget that it is that, and they kind of really cold sell a lot of things to their customers. And I think we can look at it in two ways. The first one is like collecting information on customers that have not bought. Now you can make sure that you send this information or like a way to capture their data, for example, like a Typeform. Typeform integrates with Klaviyo, MailChimp, a lot of the core email systems. And you can frame it in a way that's personalized to, for example, send that email in the welcome flow only to people that are engaging with the welcome flow that haven't bought. So you're not just sending it to everyone coming down the funnel, but it's more of a personal approach where it's like, hey, Nathan, I realize you haven't bought yet, but you're engaging with the website, you're engaging with what we're offering you. Is there something that's like, not really taking you over the edge of purchasing, and in that frame of delivery, instead of having that copy, you can have like a Typeform being like, your voice matters, or we're listening to you. And you can easily create automations off the back of this that can provide them. It might be price sensitivity, it might be information, And then you can set up triggers to then cause a much leaner process to improve those conversions. That's the sort of initial step for people that haven't converted. And then the real powerful one is when you can get your audience that, again, keeping it specific and segmented, looking at the people that provide you the highest customer lifetime value and also engage with your email. So like if I was to create a segment, I'd select like the top 50 to our 75% percentile customer lifetime value and people that engage with emails, for example, like in your 30 to 60 day engagement, and you send them the email out saying, hey, we realize you're one of our most valuable members in the community. Your voice matters in how we move the brand forward. And we'd like to take 5 minutes of your time to answer some questions about how we can improve the product or the service. And in return, we know you love this product. So we'll, one person that gives this can have it for free, just to say thank you. Mm-hmm. And here you then have this like cyclical process of learning from the people that aren't buying and the people that are buying. And I've done this on brands that now make, up to like $100,000 extra just from the community specific campaigns a month, on top of all the information they're getting to drive, other marketing efforts.
Mm-hmm. From a brand's perspective, what kind of language do you use to address the customer? Is this more on a personal level, or is it on a brand's level, or does it depend?
I think it depends on the third-party data you capture. There's ways that you would want to capture the data earlier on in the customer lifecycle, so you can then personalize it moving forward. A lot of the ways you can do this, because to your point, if you only capture, for example, email at the start of things, you can only refer to someone as a group in the welcome flow because you don't have that post-purchase data. So that's as good as you're going to get, right? You're only going to be like, hey, community, not like, hey, Nathan. Obviously, if you're using an e-commerce or like Shopify, you're going to be able to capture their first name from the purchase point. So from then, I would always, if you have the data, use it to your advantage. As a way to improve a Shopify listed store out there, you can always add a second two-step pop-up on your website. So it's like, hey, like have your email, step one. So if they enter their email and exit, they've left, but you haven't killed your conversion. But then you can use a secondary step where it's like, we also, love to know you by name kind of thing, make it a bit more personal. We'd rather, what's your name? If they don't want to enter their name, they don't enter their name. But if they do, you can then start using their name in your email communications in the whole welcome flow or whatever campaign you're using before they convert. So yeah, it really depends on the data you have available to you.
Okay. Now, most software, e-commerce software like klaviyo, they have the differences between a flow automation and a campaign. Yes. I found out that a lot of merchants do not mail out often enough. What's your take on the frequency of sending messages to customers?
That's a really good question. So obviously you've got your automations, and depending on the industry you're in, you can create a pretty watertight lifecycle marketing automation where you're kind of getting people in the right stages. But the thing is campaigns are obviously sent at a specific time to a specific segment that you want them to go to. And I believe the cadence of how many emails you send greatly depends on the industry you're in. From my experience, if you're like a retailer, like a sort of, let's say you sell clothes, I find that's more impulse. So you're going to want to put that available. You want to be on the top of mindset, top of awareness of a brand in the inbox with your clothes over like another brand's clothes a lot more. However, if you're sending a high ticket item, which is, I do a lot of I work with a lot of high ticket brands, and I would compare the two. I would send maybe 20, 25 campaigns sometimes, like on heavier months if I'm a clothing store, because people open it and check. Whereas high ticket items, they need to think. So there almost needs to be a respect between I'm going to give you usually a much more valuable email to educate you. There's a lot more education on the product because it's more expensive. It's not an impulse buy. Like if I tell you, hey, buy a Ferrari or buy a Porsche, you're going to be like, what's the difference? What am I getting out of this? What am I getting out of that? With a t-shirt, it's like, I like the look of the t-shirt. That's why I bought it. So that's another big reason why brands need to step away from that cookie cutter approach of being like, oh, we send 8 campaigns because we send 8 campaigns. I would completely agree actually that sending less campaigns, if you're, and it's not perfect. I would usually say if you're selling a higher ticket item, you can probably sell less and educate more. And for a brand that's a lower ticket item, you can sell more. Because most of the time I'm selling high ticket items and we get a lot of revenue through email because of it, is that most of the time people do loads of paid advertising on high ticket items, but people don't want to make an impulse decision on a high ticket item from watching like a retargeting ad. However, you can collect someone's email and you can really like intricately take care of them through that decision-making process of a high ticket item, and your conversions and your return on investment goes to the roof.
No, I love that. I 100% agree with you. If it's a low ticket item, decision-making process is much quicker, basically instant. And you need to educate if you have higher ticket items, 100% agree. Now, the question is, a lot of brands guess what their clients want, not knowing. And what kind of strategies can you use beside of having just a questionnaire to get more out of your customers, to get the right information, to really understand what they want?
Yeah. Great question. I think the sort of advanced tactics that I would say, this is where it starts to get very confusing for merchants, and why I think it's very worth it to hire someone that knows what they're doing, because it's very time consuming if you don't know, is to start to create things like, you'll probably hear, I'll elaborate, but something like Octane AI, or some integrations essentially for the listeners that you can put on or integrate with your email service provider, that says Klaviyo, MailChimp, whatever. And it enables you to capture more data on your store upfront. So for example, instead of going through like your usual, and you can still do it this way, there's, you have multiple ways for a lead to enter their information, but a lead can go through like a quiz. And that quiz can be like, let's say we're selling makeup, for example. I'm just really picking something out here. And obviously, makeup depends on your skin color, on, how you want to express yourself. There's like lots of ways that might determine why you pick a certain makeup. And you can capture those data points before they even hit the welcome flow, so that when they go into the welcome flow, Stephanie might like, eyeshadow or whatever, or lipstick, and therefore she gets a flow that's more tailored towards those elements of like the makeup like store. Whereas Tiffany might want foundation for her skin, or has a certain skin problem, so needs like she can only wear like makeup that is specifically made for like sensitive skin. So you're not ever educating or selling a lead on something they don't want to know. And obviously the more you can close the gap on what, the unknowns on your customer, or on the customer that you don't know, because, they're faceless, right? When they give you their email without that quiz, you don't know who they are. Whereas obviously when you can get third-party data, you can almost create a picture of who they are. And therefore you can tighten everything so much. Like your copy can become pain point and solution orientated to that person, which is different to the other person. And that's really where, you go from being like sending a single welcome flow that's like everyone's getting the same welcome email, to a whole different experience.
I just read a case study of someone who did a quiz and they collected 650,000 emails in a year. And these were not shoppers at that point. So this was cold traffic. So that shows you how valuable email marketing done the right way is. Now, with growtrio, you're obviously helping people getting there. So what's the onboarding process? When people approach you or brands approach you, what's the first thing you do?
Yeah, so I try and keep things super simple. I actually, on purpose, limit how many clients I work with because we're a micro agency. So, we kind of extend ourselves into the brand. We're not someone that like passes people onto like a sort of separate team that's usually working directly with me. And the way that happens is they'll initially book a call because they've identified that, why not? Like there's no risk involved. Just have a call and see if I get value from this, then why not? It's free value. So on that call, we go through essentially how they're currently running their email marketing. So it's like an audit of sorts. What they're doing, what they're not doing, quick wins. And then after that call, we create a 90-day plan of essentially what's in like a Trello board. So we work from Trello. We give access to all of our clients to Trello so that they can visually see the executional work that we're doing. And they feel very much like as part of the process rather than a lot of agencies where it's like, I have no clue what's going on, following them up all the time. Because I came from an agency, so I wanted to build an agency that was a service but didn't feel like that traditional agency. So after that, yeah, the proposal was sent out. We then have a call on that proposal, sort of like, is that everything we expect? We align like what we're going for just to confirm things. And then, yeah, we sign a contract for the 90 days and then they get crazy results.
Okay, that sounds great. Now, tell me a little bit, we touched a little bit on it. What kind of tech stack do you support? Obviously, it's Shopify, Klaviyo. What else do you support?
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things of what do I support versus what I prefer.
Okay.
Because for me, obviously, I'm every brand that is on Shopify. Being email and really knowing like different email service providers, Klaviyo is probably going to be long-term the best email service for Shopify because to all the listeners out there, they might not know, Shopify invested into Klaviyo. And so there's quite literally a preferential like partnership between the two brands. And we already see that in the ability to form integrations, the way the data flows into Klaviyo is so seamless and so data-led that I ideally move brands from, I work with all, MailChimp, OmniSend, name one, and I've worked on them. However, I'm invested in brands growth for the long term, and I want brands to have the best foundations. The more you build a company, the harder it is to then migrate later. And having built a startup from like nothing to, a very successful company, I also now know the value of really trusting that advice, because if I didn't build things from that initial foundation, moving data, moving tech can be very tedious and difficult and complicated. And so, yeah, I tend to migrate brands to Klaviyo for them. Like that's a part of the service. Like I do the migration and then I build them, and I'll also do the, whatever tech they're using in their other system, I'll migrate them over. But yeah, obviously stuff like Octane. I also work very closely with reviews.io, a really amazing software that enables you to, unlike Trustpilot, where you have to visit Trustpilot as a customer to look at the reviews, they can pull in the reviews in the perfect time. So it's like if you've abandoned a high ticket product, for example, or even low ticket, you can get like a review for that specific product, like the stars and the comment and the image, or like even if it's UGC in the abandoned cart. So it's like, are you sure you want to abandon this cart? Look at all these amazing reviews. for this specific product. And you never get experiences like that unless someone abandoned the cart, then decided to go to like Trustpilot. So I try and marry the tech that works best for the conversions and driving revenue.
Okay, no, that's a golden nugget that you just gave away. That's an amazing feature. Nathan, before we come to the end of the coffee shop today, of the coffee break today, where can people find out and what's the pricing? So how do you charge?
Yeah. So it depends on client size. So people can go to the growtrio website and then you book a call. And then on that call, based on the audit and the work required, we then base a fee on this, because it depends on what team is involved. Like, are our design team involved, etc. You know the process, right? We usually take a fee, and then we either increase the fee based on whether or not we have we take a percentage of the email performance. So if someone it's basically, I understand, like, being a business owner, like, I'm happy to sort of increase my risk. And by doing that, I basically take a more of a percentage, because I'm really like putting my risk on the line. And then if people don't want to pay the performance doing amazing, I can just also take a retainer fee. But usually the retainer is no more. It's between $7,500 and $10,000 a month. And for that, they usually get like full stack. So as I said, like, we built loyalty programs, reviews, automations, campaigns, design team. Like, you basically can hand it over and then just get given the results and just check in. That's kind of the plan, is we basically integrate into your company for a whole team. If you look at the return on it, it's a very, very good decision.
Yeah, I like the approach. That's not the usual agency approach where, as you said before, you give someone the work and then you never hear and see anything. So you basically get a complete new department in your own. I will put the link to growtrio.com in the show notes, as always. And I see that you have a growth strategy session there for free, so people should be able to reach you easy and straightforward. Nathan, thanks so much for today. There was a lot of really, really good content in there. People have probably to listen twice to the episode to get the most out of it, and hope to talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Klaus here. Before you go, I would like to invite you to become part of the e-commerce merchant pro community to get actionable advice from other Shopify merchants who already have achieved what you are aiming for. Our community is a safe place to actively grow your online retail business with the support of the most amazing and helpful group of e-commerce entrepreneurs behind you. Running a Shopify business is tough. Don't do it alone. Join us now. You will find the link in the show notes. Also, if you think your online store has conversion or marketing issues and you would like to have a fresh set of eyes on your business, then drop me an email at klaus@klauslauter.com and let me know a little bit about your business. It might be beneficial for you to have me look over your store, offers, emails, and ads, and get an unbiased outside perspective and guidance to help you make most of your online business. Thank you as always for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Until next time, and I talk to you soon.